I'm Christine Persichetti. We begin with some big news in the Diocese of Brooklyn. Pope Francis has accepted the retirement of Auxiliary Bishop Neil Tiedemann. He was required by canon law to submit his resignation letter at the age of 75. But Bishop Tiedemann isn't going anywhere. He'll now serve as an Auxiliary Bishop Emeritus. Neil Tiedemann was born in Crown Heights and became a Passionist priest in 1975. During his nearly 50 years of service, Bishop Tiedemann has served both in the Diocese of Brooklyn and beyond. In 2008, he was named a bishop in Jamaica, where he served for 8 years. He returned to the Diocese of Brooklyn as an auxiliary bishop in 2016. Since then, he has chaired the Diocesan Commission on Racism and Social Justice and conducted countless listening sessions throughout Brooklyn and Queens. He also serves as the director to Caribbean and Black Catholics and is the pastor of St. Matthias Parish in Ridgewood. You can read even more about Bishop Tiedemann's half a century of service, plus reaction from Bishop Robert Brennan online at thetablet.org. Developing from the highest court in the land, the Supreme Court has ruled the government cannot force people to choose between their faith and their business. The case involved a Christian web designer in Colorado who refuses to make websites for same-sex weddings because of her beliefs. The justices ruled the designer has a free speech right under the First Amendment, saying all persons are free to think and speak as they wish, not as the government demands. While that decision is seen as a win for religious liberty, startling new numbers from the Catholic organization Aid to the Church in Need are showing more than 4 billion people in 61 different countries have had their religious freedom rights violated. 62% of the world's population lives in countries that violate religious freedom, countries where people are being killed or kidnapped just because of their faith, and places of worship are being attacked or damaged. That's according to the Religious Freedom in the World 2023 report by the Catholic charity Aid to the Church in Need. Take a look at this map. The 28 countries in red have the most religious persecution, hate crimes, and religiously motivated violence. It includes 13 African countries, along with Afghanistan, Iran, North Korea, Pakistan, India, and Saudi Arabia. Christians in the 33 countries in orange have been experiencing religious discrimination. They include Cuba, Iraq, Syria, and Turkey. And the 23 countries in purple are places where religious intolerance, discrimination, and persecution have been on the rise, like Russia, Ukraine, Chile, Mexico, and several African countries. Aid to the Church in Need says the main purpose of the report is to motivate people to get involved and help those suffering from religious persecution through prayer, sharing information, speaking up for victims, engaging politicians, and keeping informed about the reality on the ground in different parts of the world. According to another stat, while the worst cases of religious persecution take place in African and Asian countries, the Western world is not immune, and that includes some dangerous trends here in the U.S. National correspondent for the Tablet and Crux, John Lavenberg, joins us now to break down this report. Hi, John.
Hi, Christine.
Thanks for being here.
Good to be here.
So tell us about some of these statistics and some of the countries that people may be surprised to hear this is happening.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, a lot of people, when they think religious persecution, they think those Asian, African countries. But actually, this report cites that Western countries have their own version of religious persecution, that, of course, it's a different form and maybe not as bad. But, the U.S., European countries like England, France, Canada have religious persecution in the sense of hate speech laws, increasing censorship, cancel culture, and just a general growing intolerance of religion in these countries.
Wow. So how has religious freedom conditions changed over the years? Has it improved at all?
Yeah, so I asked Ed Clancy, the director of Aid to the Church in Need, the same question recently. And, it's not universal, but he said it's worse. He said, in general, it's worse across the world. And this new report that came out really emphasizes that when it says that 47 countries across the world have seen religious persecution increase over the past 2 years.
Wow. So what is the role of the Catholic Church in advocating for religious freedom worldwide?
Well, like you just said, I think advocacy is what Ed Clancy and others say is the most important thing. I mean, you look at the U.S., and the U.S. bishops, they constantly speak about issues here in America. They constantly speak about things in places like Nigeria, Nicaragua. So it's that advocacy that people say is most important, just keeping an eye on it worldwide and bringing attention to what's going on in other places.
All right, John Lavenberg, national correspondent for the Tablet and Crux. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Some seniors got a nice night out ahead of the holiday weekend. The annual Silver Sunsets Stroll allows the residents of the Pope John Paul II senior apartments to enjoy some food and music thanks to the help of the Bay Ridge community. Currents News' Katie Vasquez reports from the American Veterans Memorial Pier.
This is Mike from Leo. Nice eating.
88-year-old Annie Burdick savored every bite of her baked ziti. She doesn't get to go out often, but tonight she's enjoying a fine dining experience by American Veterans Memorial Pier.
That's a wonderful sight that people come down with wheelchairs. Ordinarily, you never see people like that, you know, in the street or anything.
It's not just the stroll.
Elliot Lamboy of the nonprofit El Rose Foundation started the 3rd annual Silver Sunset Stroll during the height of the pandemic. As the city was in lockdown, he wanted to show the residents at the Pope John Paul II senior apartments a good time.
And I came up with something. I said, I told them one day I was going to take them all out. They said, how? And I figured there's nothing more than what somebody would enjoy when you're home for a couple of years, nothing more than a sunset.
Local eateries donated the food, and a DJ provided music. And to ensure every senior was able to come to the event, Catholic Charities Brooklyn and Queens rented out wheelchairs.
But it's important that we take care of our seniors, show some respect, get them out, let them enjoy themselves.
But the sweetest part for longtime residents like Nancy Pano is not the food, but the fun she was able to have with her friends.
This is so important for every one of us. And it's good because it gives a lot of these people who think they can't go out are going out.
A night on the shoreline the seniors won't soon forget. In Bay Ridge, Katie Vasquez, Currents News.
Looks like so much fun. And finally tonight, we want to tell you about the exciting lineup of Currents News specials we'll be airing next week. On Monday, July 3rd, we'll be looking back at the school year in review. On Tuesday, the 4th, you'll see the Good News special sharing positive stories from people of faith. On Wednesday, the 5th, you'll meet the latest priests ordained in the Diocese of Brooklyn. On Thursday, the 6th, you'll see people and groups who are putting their faith into action. And finally, that weekend, from July 7th to the 9th, we'll show you just a few people who make up the pulse of their parish. And that is this Currents News update. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.